What's up, everybody? I'm Cody Coleman, the only one available for a post game today. So sorry you have to see my ugly face. I know I said last night in the chat if we lost, I was going to do a Yinzer breakdown themed post game, but I think we just got to talk about this one. Pirates lose 3-2. They get those last two runs in the ninth inning, but I want to start by talking about the elephant in the room, which is Vince Velasquez. What's going on? I don't know what's going on. I've seen conflicting things on the broadcast. I think Brownie said maybe he just doesn't feel good. Other places on on Twitter, I'm seeing reporters who saw him point to his elbow. So maybe that's something that's wrong. But anyway, I want to get into his start. He pitched 3 innings, let up 2 hits and a run. He had a walk and 2 strikeouts, and he let up a home run. It was a rough outing. Obviously, if it turns out to be an injury, that's why. But I do want to point out, I noticed something with Vince Velasquez. It was whenever Wander Franco thought that he had a hit, I believe it was on the foul ball. He immediately, Vince Velasquez immediately told Wander, "Hey, get back! Like that was foul. Get back to home plate." And just the reaction he had told me everything I needed to know about Vince Velasquez as a competitor. If it was last year's team, I feel like, you lost 2 straight games to one of the better teams in the league and you're just going to like roll over and die. But I think Vince Velasquez was like, no, we're going to come out here and we're going to give it our all. And I think he did that until he couldn't anymore. And I just like that fire. I like to see that in a starting pitcher, especially. And I think we have that in most of our guys. But anyway, that's just something I noticed body language wise. Other than that, it's a shame he only went 3 innings, but it was a decent start. You hope that he's okay, but unfortunately, he was pulled seemingly because of an injury. So moving on to Hernandez. Hernandez comes in. He lets up a home run almost immediately. I was like, wow, like this is it. Like we're out of here. But he ended up only giving up 2 hits in 1 inning of work. And then Underwood comes in for 2 innings. It was very much just straight up bullpen game, and it has to be with an injury like that. But then you have Holderman who comes in the 7th, and he has an immaculate inning. And that was probably the highlight of this game, right? You have this team that's just not playing well. They're not getting hits together. They're lacking in hits with runners in scoring position. Today was the first game in the series where they had a hit with runners in scoring position, and you see what happens. You score runs. Why are we always swinging at the first pitch? I think that's just been a theme with this team. I think that they're being told to be aggressive, and I think it has worked. It worked in those first 20 or so games, those first 28, 29 games. Being aggressive has worked, whether it's on the base path, whether it's at the plate, whether it's defensively. It was working, right? But then you come in and you play a team like the Tampa Bay Rays, who they're one of the best teams in baseball, and they're one of the best teams in baseball for a reason. I don't want to say that the Pirates' success has been a fluke at all. I want to believe that they actually are good. But a team like the Rays, who's consistently good, there's a reason for that. They have a formula. But anyway, moving on, talking about, what were we talking about? I believe we were talking about the hitting. Yeah, because you brought up the swing at the first pitch. Yeah, I think that's just a philosophy that they have. What else do we want to talk about? So Santana had the only offense of the day. He had the only 2 hits for the team as well. You're just not going to win when you can't get hits, right? And we know the Rays are good. And I believe DiNardo talked about it last night with Neil. When the Rays go to their bullpen, it's almost like it's game over because you rather keep the starter in and take advantage of the starter and not see the pen because they have one of the best bullpens in baseball. So let me look and see when Eflin came out, which Eflin also pitched well. He only gave up 3 hits and he had 10 strikeouts. So put a starter with a great quality start on top of a bullpen that's nearly unstoppable. It's just a recipe for disaster for anyone trying to get a hit. Excuse me. They had Thompson came in for an inning, didn't give up anything, no hits, didn't get a strikeout either, or give up a walk. And then Adam came in, and that's where we thought, hey, we might get back in this thing. Carlos Santana hits that RBI double, his second double of the game. And that's where you see what happens when you have runners in scoring position, right? But he ended up getting 3 strikeouts to end the game. That's just how it plays out, right? I think the big thing that people are talking about with this series is the umpiring crew, though. I have my problems with it, and I'm trying to keep my opinion of the umpiring crew separate from just the objective sight of them. And this looking at pitches outside the zone that gets into what I'm saying about this umpiring crew. And I had a discussion with Ryan over text about it. My argument for this is, so do you want your players who practice discipline to get rid of that lack of discipline just to appease an umpire that has an inconsistent strike zone? And Ryan said, yes, you have to play to the game that's in front of you. And I see that. I see that as, you want to win games, so you have to adapt. It's tough. It's tough for a team like this with you have guys like Sawinski who has worked on taking balls and not swinging and missing as much. And they're trying their best, right? They're doing their best to take balls, draw walks, and then you have a game or a series come out of nowhere where you have a very inconsistent strike zone. And I think, siding towards what Ryan's saying, I think you have to become a more mature team and be able to adapt to those things. So I may not agree with the calls that were called by the umpires. I think the umpires in general were very, might I say, unprofessional. At least the second game of this series. But outside of that, just objectively looking at them doing their job, it could have been better. But as Ryan stated in our text messages, you have to adapt. It sucks because you do, like I said, you have these guys like Sawinski and Cruz before he was on the injured list and all these other players who are working on their plate discipline. And then you're just thrown a crappy card here. But yeah, Jim, I want to say that's Rosati. Maybe not. I don't know. Jimothy 09, my man. You're right. 5 of the strikeouts were strikeouts looking, and you can't have it. When you're down 2 strikes, you got to be protecting the plate. It's tough to protect the plate when there's a ball up by your neck or in this area. You don't want to swing at that. You're taught not to swing at that. You get yelled at for swinging at that when you're in Little League. So it's like, what's the middle ground here? But you got to be professional and you got to protect the plate and have good at bats. So that's what I have to say there. Not Rosati. All right, good. I like you then, Jim. Speaking of Rosati, who let this man go to 3 straight games with a curse in his back pocket? Can we talk about that for a second? I know we only got a couple people here. It looks like one of my MLB streams in here. But let's talk about this for a second because I got a platform right now. We got to chain Rosati to his computer chair in his basement so he can watch every game there and never go to another game again. I'm just, for one person to be so cursed, and I know he put out the tweet. He said, I'm not cursed. He has no effect on a player's ability to play the game, on an umpire's ability to call a game. I'm taking what I can, and that's just telling Rosati he can't go to any more games. Doug, the Rosati curse is strong. Not only did I attend 2 losses with Jim, but I also contracted a terminal illness. That's what happens when you hang out with Jim Rosati. You know, I hung out with Jim in Florida, and I gotta say, I came home and I had the sniffles. So hanging out with Jim is just not great. Wireless grapes. I have a therapy appointment in 15 minutes, and that seems appropriate. Yes, very much. Bucko Mike, the Rays welcome Jim. Yeah, they brought out the red carpet for him. I mean, I'm surprised Jim didn't get to swim with the Rays, you know? R.I.P. Doug in the chat. Bucko Mike, Rosati curse equals Filipponi curse. You know, it's kind of ridiculous, you know? I mean, I guess spring training games don't count because I think we saw at least 2 Pirates spring training wins when we went down to Florida. But hey, Jim, I know you're with Doug probably. You gotta just stop going to games, man. Don't go to games. We want this team to be successful. So anyway, not much else to talk about. I think everybody has summed up this series in our last 2 post games, and this was not a big thing going on. Like this wasn't a big game. Like it was exciting in the last inning. If you're a Pirates fan, other than that, defense played all right. We didn't have too many mistakes. I don't think. Didn't have any errors, so that's good after last night. Yeah, it was just an average Bucko game. And I hate to say that it was an average Bucko game because you hope that an average Bucko game means it's a win, but it wasn't. So if there's any more questions or anything else we want to talk about, Doug is running the opposite direction as Jim. Good. You should. You should. Anytime you see Jim Rosati on the streets, just run because he's gonna make you sick. Wireless grapes, you bring up a good point. At least they went out to fully compete 9 innings, and that's kind of what I was getting at when I was talking about Velasquez going out there and not taking any crap from Franco, thinking he was safe on second. You know, they went out there to compete. They weren't lying down, even though they just lost 3 in a row and 2 to that team. They went out looking to win a game. Bucko Mike says Caleb Smith probably gets the call. I didn't see a Caleb Smith on the 40-man, so I don't see where that makes sense. We usually get like five walks a game. We had like 1 or 2 max, right? And that, I mean, I assume you're talking about offensively, and I think that's to the remarks I made about the umpiring. The officiating was suspect. But that's baseball, right? You have to play around it. That's the nuance of the game, I guess you could say, is you have officials who you can't argue their calls because they're judgment calls. I don't like it. I think it's going to be a reason for the major leagues to start doing the challenge pitch like they are in the minors, where you challenge the pitch and you look up at the big board. Takes about 5 seconds to realize the ump made a bad call. You might see that sooner than later. But you'd probably see it a lot sooner if this happened to a team like the Yankees or the Astros or the Cardinals or the Dodgers or the Red Sox. It's a big market team, and even more so if it happened in like the World Series. But I think you just, sometimes you have a crew that's on, sometimes you have a crew that's off. So what is Bucko Mike telling me? Smith, CGSO, complete game shutout, 3-hitter, 5 strikeouts last night at AAA. Lowers his ERA to 7.14. So I don't know about that one, Bucko Mike. That's a little rough. I think if we were talking about this over text, we think that if the team is serious right now, they want to continue to win, Luis Ortiz is the guy to come up. Whether, I don't know if he has some sort of control thing like they're doing with Endy and all these other guys. I assume not, But if you want to keep competing, if you want to keep your starting rotation strong, you bring up Ortiz. Even if he struggles, he at least earned it, right? He's a guy that's earned it. He's playing very well in the minors. So I think that's kind of the consensus, is that Ortiz will be the one to come up. Bucko Mike saying Ortiz needs another month to stretch out. Bucko Mike, I got to take your word for it. You might be right. So what are we going to do? We're gonna march out another reliever and hope that they can be a starter like Oviedo? What's the plan there? But no, in all seriousness, I think Ortiz is the guy. Yes, delay throwing out a Rosarina. I did miss that, but I knew it happened. I didn't see it. But let's talk about that, because I was completely. Thank you for bringing that up. You have 2 games with delay as a starter, right? Or not delay, with Hedges as the starter. He had a chance to throw some people out. He drops the ball. He overthrows the ball. This is the guy that's supposed to be the defensive guru, and the reason we don't have Endy or Henry Davis up right now, right? He's making these mistakes. You got to think, is it too big of a spot? He's playing the best team in the league. Like, what's going on? I don't know, but things like that happen, and you wonder, like, why isn't Endy up? Why isn't Davis getting a chance? Why isn't Delay the everyday starter? And we see today, Delay is making plays defensively. He's batting 390, or he was batting 390 coming into this game. He's the better catcher of the 2 major league catchers we have right now. I mean, Wireless Grape says Hedges has consistently been mid-tier at throwing out catchers to defend him. It's not like he's ever been an elite at that. Right, but I think we might have talked about it last night, might have been in texts, but the Hedges propaganda is wearing off. The fans were told, okay, this is the guy, he's a defensive guy, pitcher-minded guy. Maybe that's that part, the pitcher-minded and like being a pitcher whisperer or whatever you want to call it. Maybe that part is true. Maybe he is good at commanding a game, being that field general. Maybe he's good at that, but he's not making the defensive plays that get us outs. He's not getting the hits that get us runs. He's just he's only contributing in one facet of the game, and that's keeping a pitcher on track. And I think it may have been talked about last night with Donardo and Neil. Just have him be the backup, bring up one of the young guys, or have Delay start and have Hedges be the mentor on the bench. It just makes sense to me to help. Like, if you want that guy to be helping the pitchers as well as mentoring the catchers coming up in the system, he needs to be doing that. I think being the starter is not the answer, right? I think a lot of people would agree. So anyway, Bucko Mike says Kutch needs days off. I don't disagree with that. I think he does need a lot of days off. And he needs to DH. I agree. Wireless Grapes agrees. All of his benefits is just for pitchers. Right. Bucko Mike said Davis 3 for his last 10, 4 Ks. Not phenomenal, but not terrible. So anyway, I'm glad we brought up the delay talk and the Hedges talk. It's the blaring weakness in the offense. It's a weakness in the defense. We've seen it, especially this series. So what can you do, right? We can keep arguing about it, or we can think, okay, what's the next step? When's the young guy going to get the call? Probably not till June, right? And that's just the handcuffs that we've been bestowed upon us, Though maybe if we had Hedges, we'd have gotten 5 strikeouts looking on balls out of the zone. Maybe you're right, because bring it full circle, Wireless Grapes, with how this umpiring crew was calling balls and strikes. They were basically it seemed mostly on framing. Sometimes that's all they have to do to judge a ball or strike. So maybe you're right. But anyway, we're about at 20 minutes. I'm impressed by myself to be able to do this alone for 20 minutes, but you guys have helped me immensely by being in the chat. So I appreciate you. I'm going to wrap it up here. Tonight on the channel, we have the premiere of episode 2 of the vlog. This one, we're going to Fort Myers. We went to the Fenway of the South to see the Pirates play the Red Sox. I did some things I shouldn't have done, and I thought I ruined the trip. And also, we went to Topgolf, so that was fun. So if you want to see what we did in Florida, vlog comes out tonight. We got 2 more episodes after this one, and then we'll be filming another vlog, maybe another vlog coming. We are supposed to be coming out to Pittsburgh in June, the beginning of June, I believe June 3rd. I might be making announcements I'm not supposed to make, but I'm excited. Donardo's excited, and we're excited to go to a regular season Pirates game. So, and hopefully Jim doesn't come. That'll be the worst. They need to get drunk on their flight back to Pittsburgh. Maybe that works. Who knows? We need to do a vlog where you change Jim to his basement. Doug, thank you for telling me I had a great show. I appreciate you. I hope you and Jim had fun at the game. But yeah, we're going to get out of here. Next game is tomorrow, right? Yeah, Friday, Saturday, Sunday series against Toronto. Not sure who's doing the post game, but they'll be here. Again, vlog tonight, 7 p.m. premiere. Watch it. I put a lot of work into it. It was a lot of fun to do, and I hope you guys enjoy it. But anyway, Pirates lose 3-2, and we will see you next time.
Hey, you all. Thank you for watching. I know we try to provide the most entertaining content that we can, and we'd love to spread it to as many people as possible. So I know it doesn't seem like a lot, but if you could take the 5 seconds to like this video and subscribe to the page, it helps out so much more than you know. Thank you, and let's go Bucks.